Welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast. Here, we'd love to talk about the Walt Disney World Resort, the way we remember it, how it's changed, and why we still enjoy visiting the most magical place on Earth. So come with us on a podcast journey as we reflect on the WDW Reflections Podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to the WDW Reflections Podcast, your unofficial guide through Disney World memories and their connections to the parks we know and love today. I am Dewey. I'm one of your hosts coming to you from my home in Delaware, a little bit chilly here in Delaware today. And this is episode number 41 of the WDW Reflections Podcast. We thank y'all for being here with us. But before we get to this episode's main topic, we'd like to invite y'all to connect with us through the social media accounts that the show has. And we would like to offer y'all the opportunity to possibly become involved as a contributor to future shows. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at WDW Reflections Podcast, and on Twitter at WDW Reflections. All right, with that out of the way, let's get started with the show. So with me today are my podcast travel buddies, Ron and Tony, coming to us from Cleveland, Tennessee is my good buddy, Ron. How you doing, bud?
Hey, we're doing well. Looking forward to reuniting with everyone and our listeners, and looking forward to our discussion today.
Yeah, I want to talk about the listeners here in just a second. But before we do that, there's one more guy we need to talk to, my good buddy, Tony G, coming to us from the Big Apple. What's going on, Tony?
Good morning, guys, and good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here and glad that we're getting a chance to catch up again. It's been a mild minute there since we've had a chance to sit and talk about what's been going on at the parks. And I think this episode would be kind of different because we want to kind of just bounce ideas off each other about what's been going on since we last recorded.
Yeah, just in the last week, there's been a lot of, I guess, Disney World news. So we're going to talk about some of that today. But I just wanted to talk, Ron, just a minute ago mentioned, saying hello to the listeners. Tony, you did too. We haven't had a chance in probably about a month or so to get together and talk Disney with each other and with our family and friends and listeners and all those people. So I was looking at some demographics and stuff of the show and just playing around the other day. And we currently have had listeners in 13 different countries. So
that's cool.
That's pretty exciting to me. The people that live in my house don't particularly want to listen to me. So the fact that people somewhere else in the world,
we don't want to listen to you either.
I don't know, but somebody in Japan does, because it says right here.
And we're hoping we're bringing you a little bit of your Disney memories and reflections to you. And if you are out there and you're able to contribute, why don't you just record us a little video or send us a note? Let us know why you're listening, what brought you to the show, and is there anything you want us to talk about? Is there something that we're not doing here that you'd like to hear about?
Absolutely. If you guys are listening to the show, give us a holler. We would love to interact with you, talk to you, and just kind of get your feelings on what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, and ideas, whatever you got. We would love to connect with y'all. So obviously, United States is the number one. 84% of our listeners are in the United States, so that's pretty cool. But so if you guys were guessing, there's 12 other countries besides the United States where we've had listeners. Which country do you think comes in at number 2 with 7% of our listeners coming from this country? What would your guess be? We'll start with you, Ron.
Be one of two, I think. And I think I'm going to stick with Canada.
Okay. Tony, what's your guess?
I'm going to go across the pond and say it's the UK.
That was my second guess. So
UK is coming in at 7% of our listeners is the UK. Ron, you weren't too far off. Canada is 4%. 4% with Canada. So Germany, 3%. So, most of these next few are, English is not their first language in these countries. So I'll tell you, I am not listening to podcasts from Germany or Italy or anything because I don't speak their language. And clearly the people in these countries are smarter than me because they do speak English. And
well, yeah, language. It's interesting to me how many countries actually not only encourage, mandate that their students learn
Absolutely
language, which is primarily English.
But we've got listeners. So United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, Italy, Ireland, Japan, Vietnam, Brazil, Sweden, Russia,
Wow.
Mexico, and the Netherlands. So,
and we've also been looking. I've been looking at some of the age ranges as well. I'm not going to reveal that here, but I will say it's interesting to see that it seems most of the people are within our own age group, which is kind of interesting too.
55% of our listeners are in our age group, actually. Yeah. So that's interesting to me too. So I guess our age group identifies with our grumpy old, or at least I'm the grumpy one, our grumpy old opinions, right? All right. So that's just cool stuff. I expected United States and I expected other English speaking countries to, listen some, but that's just super cool that this little show that we put together every couple of weeks, mostly just for our own entertainment, that other people are finding it entertaining from all around the world. And I just found that really cool. So those of you that are listening, that's really cool. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoy it. Keep listening, contact us, and we'd love to connect with you.
Yeah. And if you are listening and you do enjoy our content, it helps if you do press the like button. I know you hear this on every video, but it really is true because we are doing this for fun. We're just getting together every weekend, really, really early sometimes. And it helps to know that somebody out there cares about what we're doing. If we see a like, we go, okay, well, at least we know someone watched this or heard this, and it encourages us to do more of it.
Keep going, right? Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun. All right, so let's talk about the main segment. We're not going to do history of an attraction today. We're not going to do a Triple R challenge. That's that last show was a Triple R challenge, so definitely more of those coming. But we're not going to do that today. What we thought we would do today is just kind of catch up because as the guys and I, we chit chat, and we have a little chat that we talk about things from now and then. And we've been noticing that there's, and just in the last couple of weeks, been a ton of, I guess you could call it Disney World news, stuff happening in the Walt Disney Company or at Disney World specifically. So we thought we would just get together and just have a discussion about some of the biggest headlines from the last few weeks. So,
and plus we thought that'd be a good way to also let you guys know we're still here. It's just it's getting a little bit harder to get together in the winter time, but we'll be recording these as long as we can. If we ever do decide to stop, we'll let you guys know.
We're not going to stop.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We have to wait for
we have too much to talk about.
Exactly.
At least Dewey, you can just push his button and he'll go for hours.
Absolutely. So if I was one like Woody, if I had one of those strings that you pull and I would talk, the string on me is 3.25 miles long. So I will talk for a long time if you pull my string, Ron.
We know.
Well, you've known me 20 years. My string hasn't stopped yet. It hasn't stopped yet. So just a couple of things we want to talk about. Tony, which one do you want to tackle first?
Well, let's go back a couple of weeks. In early January, one of people's favorite attractions in the Magic Kingdom got shut down for good, and it is now going to be replaced with something else. As you always hate the fact that, well, can we call this I guess it would be a complete replacement because they're taking out what it used to be, but they're still using it. Apparently, they're still using the structure of what was there. And of course, I'm talking about what every single vlogger in January was talking about, which is Splash Mountain, the end of Splash Mountain in Disney World.
Yes, if this was a Triple R challenge, it would appear that Disney has chosen replace. Mm-hmm. It's, I guess, still going to be a log flume ride. So there's still going to be the 40-foot drop or whatever Splash Mountain was. They're not taking that out, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to be an all new attraction. And
how do you feel about that? Being that I know you hate when they do new attractions, but what do you feel?
Well, I don't hate new attractions. I love new attractions.
No, I meant when they take something out and replace it with something completely different.
Look, in my house, if I'm going to add something new, I got to remove something because I don't have any room, no space, right? No, I can't put a second bed in my bedroom. Disney World doesn't have that problem. Disney World owns 48 square miles. So you don't have to destroy something amazing to put in something new. As a matter of fact, from a guest perspective, adding an attraction helps the congestion. It lowers wait times. But I think that we're smart enough to know by now that Disney wants us to wait. They want us in those attractions, in those queues, because that's crowd control for them. They don't care about our displeasure. They don't care about us being comfortable or whatever. They want us in the park spending money, and that's the way they control crowds, is long lines. So they're not really concerned, unfortunately, with the overall guest experience, and less so than they were in the past. So they don't care that we want more. They don't care. So what they care about is IP, and this is just another thing. They're bringing in a more recent IP and replacing an IP that without even talking about the controversy. The IP is 75 years ago or whenever it was, 47, I think. So I don't know, man. I love me some Splash Mountain. I loved it when it opened. I loved it last time I was there in August of 2019. Last time I was there.
What did you like about it?
Well, okay. First of all, Zippity Doo Dah could quite possibly be the greatest Disney song ever.
Especially for our generation. There used to be a show that we would watch called The Wonderful World of Disney on ABC, and that was the theme song. That was what Disney was about. It was, we're going to have a good time watching the show, Zippity Doo Dah. It's going to be a great day.
Well, dude, even in the 90s, the hotel TV.
Oh, yeah.
It was, Zippity Doo Dah was the theme of the hotel TV that before they did Must Do Disney and stuff. Or it might even have been in Must Do Disney with Stacy. I think it was Zippity Doo Dah was like the jingle for that too. So number one, the song. I mean, that is I don't know if there's a person on the planet that hasn't heard Zippity Doo Dah and doesn't love Zippity Doo Dah.
Well, do you guys know there is a movie that came out in the 80s where there was a specific reference to it, and it was seemed to have been a call out because it was the first time that Disney made a movie under a new label, which was Touchstone. And there's a quick call out to Zippity Doo Dah. Do you guys know which movie that is?
I don't, but if I'm thinking about Touchstone Pictures, it's probably like 3 Men and a Baby or something like that, right?
You're close, Ron.
Wow.
You can tell Ron's thinking because he's looking straight up in the air. That's Ron's thinking face.
My family calls me out on that all the time.
I guess that makes me family.
I don't know.
Well, if you guys remember, Disney's in the 80s wanted to differentiate family movies from the other kind of content that they were doing. So they formed these different companies, including New Line and Touchstone and a few others. And one of the very first Touchstone movies was a movie called Splash. And there's a scene in which Tom Hanks is getting ready in the mirror, and he starts singing Zippity Doo Dah, and he says, "Mr. Hairbrush is on my shoulder" instead of the Bluebird. So
that's right. I remember that. I knew it was, something like, 3 Men and a Baby. I'm pretty sure
you
that's
were close.
Touchstone.
Yeah, that's
pretty sure that's a Touchstone film. I'm not 100% sure, but Splash. Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, remember that fountain from Splash was it?
That's right. It was in the park,
MGM Studios for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm not happy about the refurb. Look, I love Princess and the Frog. Tiana's a great princess. Music is great. I love the city of New Orleans. It's one of my favorite places to go and visit and do fun stuff and eat beignets and all that. I get it, and I would jump up and down with excitement if they were putting in a Tiana attraction and a whole Creole food kind of restaurant and stuff. But I'm disgruntled about Splash Mountain leaving. So, I am sad. I love Splash Mountain. It was unique and special. And, I'm sure when I ride it's such a long name. I'm just going to call it freaking Tiana, but
Kenna's
it's
Journey.
Tiana's
Journey into
Bayou
Madness.
Adventure or something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I'm sure it'll be great and I'll love it, but sad still that Splash Mountain's going to be gone.
What about you, Ron? Do you have any thoughts on how you feel about it?
I think it's going to be. I agree. I wish it was not leaving. I'm starting to, and this may be a surprise. I'm starting to have. I've looked at the replacing through a different lens, and bear with me, Dewey, because I know you're going to have a hard opinion about this, but looking at it through a corporate lens of money and support and being able to have the employee base to be able to support additional rides, right, or attractions would become a challenge if they continue to grow, because while I'm sure new attractions does bring some new growth to the number of people coming to the parks, I'm not sure it's sustained. And so from a corporate perspective, maintaining older and the maintenance of an older ride also has to come into play. So all that to say, no, I don't enjoy seeing rides that we've grown up on or become part of our must do on our Disney trips. I'm starting to, if you stop and think from a corporate perspective, if you continue to have maintenance on rides, if you continue to have to employ more cast members to be able to support those rides, I'm not saying that should be carte blanche. Okay, we're replacing because we can't, because obviously they've built new lands and they continue to add to the park. So I guess what I'm saying is I can understand where there's a struggle to decide what needs to remain and what needs to be replaced. So I guess I'm giving a little bit of grace, but yes, I'm sad to see it go. But I'll be honest, I love new stuff. So I'm sure I'll be lined up to take a ride when it opens and see if it becomes one of my favorites.
You know what I find to be kind of weird is that the movie takes place in New Orleans, and I don't think Disney World has a New Orleans Square. I think it's over in Disneyland where it would fit a lot better. Yet Disneyland's Splash Mountain is still, as of this date, in function, and Disney World's was removed. So that's kind of weird.
Wait. So with the same,
yeah, it's still there, same way it was the same way we had it.
And it supposedly is going to be replaced.
Yes.
They just haven't started yet.
Right.
But there's another Splash Mountain. I think it's
Tokyo, is it?
It's Tokyo. And there are no plans to change that one. That one's staying Splash Mountain. So
if you want to ride Splash Mountain, you could still make your way to California.
Right.
Right now. I don't know when it is changing. I don't know when the date is, but it is changing. But one of my life's dreams is to visit every Disney park in the world. So maybe I'll get to ride Splash Mountain when I go to Tokyo Disneyland someday. But
the saddest part of this to me is that I had heard that they're no longer allowing Zippity Doo-Dah.
In the park.
Be in the parks at all. And to me, that's probably even more sad than Splash Mountain going away.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Quite possibly the greatest Disney song ever. So
yeah, I mean, it's just a classic, and
it makes you feel happy.
There's no reason.
Yeah, it's a song about happiness when it comes down to it. But as far as the ride itself, were there things about that ride that you enjoyed? I remember it's not just for anyone who's never been on that. It wasn't just a a log flume ride. It was a unique one in the sense that we got to see not only animatronics, but scenes from this movie that was kind of legendary by the time the ride opened, as well as a lot of thrills. There were lots of dips in there that were a lot of fun, unexpected dips, and then that huge fall at the end, which was great both in the daytime and if I don't know if you guys ever had a chance to do that at night. It was fantastic because you'd get up to that point and you'd look out at the park and you'd see the castle all lit up in the distance. And just that whole experience is really pretty amazing.
Yeah, I hope they bring some thrill back to it, because it definitely was a unique log flume ride. No other ride that, at least no other log flume ride that I've ridden, had the storyline,
right,
and like you're saying, the animatronics and the music and some surprises along the way as well. I've ridden ones that stay on the ground and then you ride the conveyor belt up to go down. I've been on ones that you ride the conveyor up and the whole log flume's way up in the air and then you come down. There's all kinds of variations, but I've not rode any other that has the, I've been on boat rides like Small World. It's a boat ride, but it doesn't have that
thrill.
The thrill. And you have boat rides that tell stories, but this was a combo and it was unique. And I hope they don't lose some of that.
So what's next on the list, Tony?
I thought you knew.
Oh, okay, sure. So how about so Bob Iger coming in? I guess it's been month and a half or so now, and trying to make
that's already been a roller coaster and a half.
Holy smokes! So like 3 days ago, they just announced that Disney is going to be laying off 7,000 cast members.
They said specifically cast members, or is it throughout the Disney company?
Well, they're all cast members. Even if you work at Disney Plus, you're a cast member. You're not an employee. You're a cast member. So it's not just the parks. Although I think that I read Disney World is going to be losing 1,200 jobs. Disneyland is losing, I believe the number was 700. And the rest is in all their other bureaus or whatever,
that's really interesting, Dewey, because what I read is that they are not going to touch the end point of hourly employees. So that means that Disneyland and Disney World has a lot of management.
Yeah.
Well, and let's be honest. They're not doing it because they care about the hourly employee. It's not because, the hourly employee, you work so hard, we're not going to fire you. No, they have unions. That's why they're not getting fired. Disney's not wanting to fight with the unions. Don't mistake this for kindness towards the hourly worker. This is, desire to
an
not
hourly
fight the
employee
unions.
probably is not going to touch the bottom line near as effectively as your managers and salaried employees. So there's no need. Sometimes I think companies do it just to show equality across the company, but at the end of the day, it's the salaried employees that are going to help the bottom line the quickest.
It just strikes me that I didn't see Bob Iger when he started this discussion of layoffs. I didn't see him say, real sorry about these layoffs. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to forego my gigantic multi-million-dollar bonus to help the Disney company. They never do that. The dude on top is never like, well, I'm getting $1 bajillion. Let's start there. You
don't see that on.
No. And it's. But I know, I can't remember the lady's name now, but the lady used to be in charge of theme parks. She was a high up manager in the theme park arm of the Disney company, and she had moved over to streaming, and she was in charge of streaming outside of the U.S. and getting a gigantic paycheck. And she's been with the company for 23 years. and she was one of the many that got her walking papers this week. So, even with that, 23 years of dedication to the company doesn't get you anything but a pink slip and a wave out the door. So,
why do you think Disney Plus is struggling so much? Is it just the cost of what they spent to produce the content? Because there's so much good stuff on there, and there's so much, especially for Disney fans, who you would sustain it as far as you knew. What seems to be the problem with that?
Even in the very beginning with Disney Plus, they said they did not expect it to turn a profit until at least 2024. So this is not a surprise,
right?
I don't know why there's knee-jerk reactions when they said 3 years ago when Disney Plus opened.
Because you know why it exceeded expectations, and then suddenly, because it starts to drop, they start panicking.
Well, and look, let's be honest. You've got new content. You got the Star Wars. You got the Marvels. You got, I don't know, like the High School Musical thing.
And plenty more coming.
But 99% of what's on there is their catalog.
Yeah.
And that's not making money. You know what I mean? Those are 100 years old.
Yeah.
So they're spending way more than they're making. But at the same time, all that new content they're making, it does bring in some subscribers and stuff, but that's also giving them, if they were smart, that's giving them, fodder to put into the theme parks. And the theme park is the moneymaker. The theme parks is where they made up all the money that they lost from streaming.
Right.
So, take advantage of this stuff that you're creating new content, throw it in the theme parks and make money off of it. And I haven't really seen Disney do that a whole lot. Every once in a while, they'll throw a new Marvel character at California Adventure over at Avengers Campus. They'll do that some, but they're not taking advantage of that new content. So it took them 3 years to put the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, into Galaxy's Edge, but it's only in California so far. Like, dude, that show is gigantic, huge. Why does it take them 3 years to put a walk around character into a theme park? That just baffles me. That guy is making money now, and Grogu is huge. Put Grogu in the theme park. Why is it 3 years and it's only in California?
And they don't have to. And in Disney World, they don't have to worry about it. They can just put him in the Star Tours area.
I don't care where he is.
Yeah,
but put him there. That's going to draw people in. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, I don't know what it is. It seems like Disney could do no wrong for years and years and years. And the last decade, they've just been stepping on their just like shooting themselves on their own foot over and over and over. I don't know what the heck is going on over there, but lots of dopey decisions, or sometimes lack of decisions, just doing nothing. I don't know, but laying off 7,000 people, that hurts, man. That's people's livelihood. Or, I don't know. That bothers me a lot.
But taking us back to what the parks started to be, for our one final thought on things that have been going on. In February, one of their classic movies, speaking of IP, celebrated, I believe it's its 70th birthday, or maybe even more than that, since 1953. I'm having trouble counting back at the moment. But in 1953, Walt Disney released the movie Peter Pan. And one of the ideas I had for this show was a look back at Peter Pan's ride, but I just couldn't really place on how to put it all together. You can look on the internet and find out about the history of it. But it's always been one of the most popular rides at Walt Disney World and also at Disneyland. And I just wanted to know what you guys, do you guys have any reflections on what the ride, about the ride, or what you thought about Peter Pan's flight?
So happy birthday, Peter Pan. Yeah, the movie. That's cool. It's a great ride. It's fun.
It was one of the originals.
Yes, it's opening day and all that stuff. But if it's got more than a 20-minute wait, I don't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
You
I
know,
haven't been on it for many, many years because of that. I think every time I went, it was like an hour wait.
right. And I'm not waiting an hour for Peter Pan. It's a, it's a Fantasyland dark ride, which to me means is I'll do it if it's not long. And, it's just, it's fun. I love the scene over London and everything when you're flying over and stuff. Really cool.
It's done in a flash,
Effects.
though. You wait in line for all that time, and then it's done in what, 2 minutes or less?
And it's fun. I like it, and I probably haven't done it in 5 years. So
What about you,
Uh,
Ron?
I love it. I have an interesting story about that one.
Yes.
A cast member actually put me in the front of the line um, as I was trying to get fast passes for it, and they were out. So he gave me 3 for my family. He's like, "Why don't you go ahead and take a sneak peek and rode it with me?" And so it was kind of a
Cool.
fun experience.
That's
So
pretty.
yeah, I ride it when I'm not gonna stand in a
Yeah, it's always got these ridiculous lines,
And
or
it's
at least
got
did in the
huge
days we used to go.
well, back in the Fast Pass days, you could access it. You might get there at 10 in the morning, and you won't have your Fast Pass for Peter Pan until like 7 that night.
Sure.
But the old Fast Pass system allowed you to do that. It was much more user friendly than what they have now. But I'll do it when it's slow, and I rode it a lot when.
What do you think the appeal was?
Pass.
Is it because it was one of the originals that has Disney's touch in it, or is it because it's a unique kind of a flight over attraction, or what was it that interested you about?
Well, it's a unique kind of it's still an omni mover, but it's unique because you hang and
On a
it's
rail.
like you're flying rather than being a track system. So just in the ride mechanism alone, it's pretty unique, and that makes it fun. But I don't know. I still to this day don't know why it's so popular.
Yeah.
Because it's fun, but it's not an hour long wait fun. It's not that
Most
fun.
of those rides over there, I don't understand
The wait.
the
I guess because
wait.
it's Fantasyland, you're thinking it's Walt Disney, and maybe it's more kid friendly, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely kid friendly. It was.
Yeah,
yeah. When you have younger kids, you're definitely spending more time in Fantasyland than I do. Now, as both of my kids are 20 and 16, so it's less appealing.
Dumbo is my
to us.
favorite over there.
Dumbo.
Yeah.
Well, I started to do some kind of research because I was going to talk about the history of it, and I just wanted to see if you guys knew about this thing, and that is that when it was built, I was watching a video of when it first came out, and I was thinking to myself, what perspective of the characters is this? Because it seemed like there was no Peter Pan anywhere, and it turns out that when they first made it, Peter Pan was not in the ride until apparently the end or something, and it wasn't until they refurbished it that they decided to make, because the point of view was supposed to be you're taking this flight on this boat, and you're Peter Pan, and you're taking everybody with you, and that was kind of lost, I think, in the first couple iterations of it, until finally they've added it so that you get to visit these scenes from the movie as you're kind of flying over it. And another interesting thing that I found, I haven't even watched the video of it yet, but it appears that within the past 10 years or so, the Disneyland version was refurbished completely. And that it now includes, instead of using the animatronic characters, it now has that new technology where it's film
the projection on their faces.
And not only on their faces, but also like, for instance, on the clock, you get to see the characters land on the clock. In the beginning, when you come in, you see the characters floating. There's a star effect, so the second star to the right explodes as you go through it. There's a whole different approach that Disney took recently to make that ride more interesting over in Disneyland. I don't know if they've done it at Disney World yet, but I've always wondered why there's been such a fascination with that character and with that particular part of Fantasyland, and it's always been so busy. But I think, as we were discussing, I realized that it's because that's more accessible to younger people in that area there.
Well, you mentioned that you're supposed to be, either with Peter Pan or you are acting as Peter Pan in that ride. They did that was kind of a thing in the early days of the Fantasyland dark rides, because Snow White's Scary Adventures was the exact same thing. Snow
You
White
were
was
her.
not in the attraction. You were Snow White. So that's and I guess they figured out that the guests weren't that savvy. They weren't picking up on that, and they were just mad that they didn't see Peter Pan or Snow White. So they made those changes. But it's a fun ride, and when it's less than a half hour, I'll ride it. But I'm not waiting longer than that.
Okay. Well, I guess we can wrap up that part for now. I mean, we'll get together and talk some more in the next couple of weeks and find something concrete to discuss. But I think this has been fun, quick catch up.
Just fun to catch up. Absolutely. We haven't been able to get together for a while, so that was definitely fun.
Good times.
We're going to move on to what is normally our third and final segment of the show each time we get together. And that's something we call What's Your Favorite? Each episode, one of our hosts brings with them a question to ask the other two guys. Those two hosts don't know the question ahead of recording and must answer the question on the spot. So this week, Tony G, you got the question for What's Your Favorite this week. So I turn it over to you, my friend. What you got for us?
Okay. As I mentioned during our pre-get-together, I don't think we've done this one before, and even if we have, it's okay. Probably may have changed by then. And I'd like to know from you guys, what is your favorite? Staying in staying in tune with what we were discussing earlier. Which is your favorite part of the Magic Kingdom to go to? Would it be Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Adventureland, Frontierland? Which of those areas is your go-to spot? What's your favorite?
Ron, you were looking up. So does that mean you're still contemplating, or are you ready to answer?
I'm still contemplating. That's a tough question.
Okay. Well, I'll go then. So if you would have asked me this question 20 years ago, it would have been Tomorrowland, hands down, easy. Tomorrowland's lost kind of some of its luster. You know, you still got Space Mountain, and that's great. Still got Carousel of Progress, and that's probably my favorite thing over there. And maybe Tron will help it. You know, it's supposed to be really cool and stuff, but
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that.
yeah, well, we'll talk. They're doing cast member previews and stuff of that right now. We can talk about that in the next show.
And real quickly, I meant to say in the intro to this, the reason that this came up is because they've also brought back the Disney World Railroad over the past few weeks, and that kind of takes you on a tour of all of these areas. So I'm sorry for not saying that ahead of time.
A lot of stuff happening. We just picked the first few that came to our minds. So I probably would have said 20 years ago would have been Tomorrowland. You know, you had, Alien Encounter 20 years ago, and of course still had Splash, and Carousel of Progress was still pretty new with the refurbishment. But I think I'm more of and I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say Frontierland and Adventureland together, because I'm going to cheat and say I'm going to put Pirates of the Caribbean in Frontierland, because right over there, that section, you've got Pirates and then Splash, or Tiana soon, I guess, and then Thunder Mountain, and that's like the triple threat. Just bam, bam, bam. Those three all together are really super cool. I love all of those. Could have said Liberty Square too, because I love me some Hall of Presidents, and I love me some Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So it would be a tie between, for me, the Frontierland and maybe Liberty Square, those two.
How about you, Ron?
So I'm with Dewey. Unfortunately, Tomorrowland has kind of lost its appeal. I mean, I still love it.
Sure.
I love Magic Kingdom is my favorite park. So it's not, but and I'm not sure you threw this one out there, but my favorite part of the park is Main Street.
Main Street's another great part. Yeah.
I mean, I just absolutely love walking down Main Street and experiencing the smells that now I know are piped in, and
and their first view of the castle as you walk in.
And your first view of the castle. And normally there is characters there by the flagpole, and it's just that Disney happy feeling that you walk in right at that point. And then my second place to go would probably be Liberty Square, because I also love that area. So.
Yeah, that's a cool area. I kind of agree with you there. I tended to go to Adventureland whenever I go to the park, because they used to always say everyone turns to the right. So I used to try to start on the. I used to get to the park really early, and I'd start on that side where Adventureland was, and make my way all the way around. So that first section was always my favorite, because, as Dewey mentioned, which again we're talking about different areas there, but Pirates is great, Jungle Cruise, and it was kind of an exotic, different take on a theme park on that side. So that was my favorite. And I would say all of it is. But when you mentioned Haunted Mansion, I kind of forgot about that area there too. There are too many good spots. That's what my answer is.
Yeah, I love Magic Kingdom. To me, just screams at Disney time. I mean, I don't know that it has any of my favorite rides that are even must-dos for me.
But you feel like you're there.
But I feel like I'm at Disney, and we will never go to Disney and not go to Magic Kingdom. That I can't imagine a trip going to Disney and not going to Magic Kingdom. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that does it for What's Your Favorite? And I guess that just about does it for this episode of the WDW Reflections podcast. Please find and follow us on all our social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at WDW Reflections Podcast, and on Twitter at WDW Reflections. This podcast can currently be found and played on many podcast platforms, and we'd love it if you'd give the show a follow wherever you listen. And if you love the show, please leave us some feedback on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Those positive feedbacks help the show reach a larger audience, and it helps us grow. Make sure you check out all the new fun stuff we've got going on at the www.reflectionspodcast.com website. And don't forget, you can always message us from any of those social media accounts, or you can email us at wdwreflectionspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And please keep coming back, because we truly appreciate you listening to the show. Thanks for reflecting on Walt Disney World memories with us on the WDW Reflections podcast.
See you real soon.